Well, hey, my friend, welcome to Daily Devotions for Kingdom Living. I'm Matt Tommy, your host. Super glad you're here with me. I wanted to jump into the story of Gideon today. I was actually reading it in my own personal time with the Lord. Great story in Judges 6 that kind of sets the stage for really what's kind of an unlikely hero, Gideon, who the angel of the Lord finds in the threshing floor, in this big pit in the middle of his field, preparing, maybe even hiding from all the things that are going around him and happening in the nation at that point. And a couple of things happen in that story that I think are just really worth us thinking about today. The first is that when the angel of the Lord appears to Gideon, he speaks to him in the place of purpose and design. He doesn't say, "Hey, you guy that's hiding there in the middle of the pit. Hey, you guy that looks scared. Hey, you guy that feels unqualified." No, he says, "Hey, mighty warrior, man of valor." In other words, he's speaking to him in the place that God designed him. That's huge, because anytime God calls us, he didn't call us out of our own abilities. He calls us out of that place of his power working through us. And so that's the way the angel of the Lord starts the conversation. And, Gideon immediately is like, excuse me, but have you seen what's going on in our nation? Like, have you seen what's going on around us? Have you see me hiding in this threshing floor? Like, I'm not the guy that you may think I am. And, but the angel continues to encourage you. And then he says a couple of things in Judges 6:14, which have always really, really encouraged me. And they just really stood out to me today. The angel said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." And then he says, "Go in the strength that you have to defeat and save Israel out of Midian's hand." And then he says this, "Am I not sending you?" See, a lot of times when we feel like God is calling us to something, we immediately disqualify ourselves. We immediately compare ourselves to others. We immediately say, "I can't do this. Have you seen this situation? There's no way I can do that." Or we're wanting all of the details up front so that we can make an informed decision. But the Lord doesn't work like that all the time. See, sometimes he gives you a plan, and sometimes he gives you just a promise. And in this situation, he gives Gideon a promise. He said, "Hey, am I not sending you?" In other words, am I not going to go with you? And so what does he say? He says, "Go in the strength that you have to defeat the enemy and deliver Israel out of Midian's hand." A lot of times we think that we've got to have all this qualification, all this strength, all this power. But God says, just go. In other words, just say yes. Just start walking. Just like Abraham, like just go to the land that I'm going to show you. I'm sure Abram was like, "What? I mean, where am I going? What's it going to look like? How am I going to get down this road? How am I going to know if I'm making progress?" All that. The Lord's like, "I'm going to show you." In other words, just like he said to Midian or to Gideon, he says, "Am I not the one sending you? Am I not the one preparing you to go?" See, sometimes when God calls us to things, he calls us on a need to know basis. Some things we need to know up front, other things we don't need to know until actually the right time. And in this scenario, Gideon did not need to know all the details. The only thing he needed to know was God's calling you a mighty warrior, and you need to go in the strength that you have. And as you walk, as you go, as you begin to follow my voice, as you begin to pursue the thing that I've called you to, that's where you're going to see my provision and my power and my grace begin to show up. Jesus talked about the same thing in Luke 9 when he sent out the disciples. He said, go heal the sick, raise the dead, preach the kingdom. He said, go into, as you're going on your journey, don't take anything. Stay with the people that want you to stay with them. If they don't want you to stay with them, don't worry about it. Just kick the dust off your shoes and move on to the next place. In other words, what? I believe in you. I'm sending you. Even though you can't see the full picture right now, I'm going to be with you. My strength is made perfect. And as you walk with me, that's when you're going to begin to see my power and my peace and my provision and my protection show up on your behalf. Friend, if you're waiting for all that stuff to show up before you make a move, before you take a step of faith, you're never going to be able to walk into the fullness of what God has for you in the kingdom. But as you learn to just give God your simple yes and begin to take steps of faith based on who He's designed you to be, what He's called you to do, founded in a healthy identity in Christ, and aligned with your assignment, guess what? God is going to begin to lead you into places you never thought possible. He's going to do exploits through your life and for you on your behalf that you never thought were possible. He's going to use you in ways that you only thought you were ever going to dream about, all because you said yes and you were willing to walk with Him on that need-to-know basis by faith. My friend, I hope this encourages you today in your walk with the Lord. Make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure you like this. Make sure you also leave me a comment below and let me know how this ministered to you as well. And I hope we'll see you again here on Daily Devotions for Kingdom Living. Bye.